I was asked to speak about a very difficult topic, workers' well-being and their productive performance. I think I was given kind of a long list of questions, and then I was given only 15 minutes, so that's mission impossible. But good news is that the two previous panel discussion already have given very good elements to those questions. Let me begin by asking a very crucial question, which is, why should we care about workers' well-being? Quite obvious, I reckon. People are working for a living, for sure, but also for self-realization and achievements. Furthermore, work is a very important way of connecting ourselves to community and society. So, jobs are more than money. So feeling very good about your work is key to individuals and families and their societies. And there is more. As actually echoed in the previous the panel discussion, workers' well-being has economic value as well. So let me quote two studies. In 2019, Oxford University South Business School conducted a study which basically indicating happy workers are more productive than unhappy workers by 13%. And then 4 years later, in 2022, the Warwick University did exactly the same study. They found happy workers are 12% more productive than unhappy workers. So in fact, there is abundant evidence that happier the workers are, the more productive they are. But as you can imagine, this positive relationship is more important than ever now because we count more on workers' creativities and active engagements in today's digital and knowledge economy. These are all good, in a sense, very encouraging news for all of us. But let's not forget that there are so many people who are denied an opportunity to test this positive relationship out from the very beginning because they simply don't have jobs. Our latest estimate is indicating around 5% of the workers are currently unemployed, but that's not the full story. If you include workers who give up job search after a whole series of the desperate attempts and disappointing efforts, the rate is more normally increasing twice or three times. So we are talking about between 10 to 15%. And on top of that, more than 60% of workers around the world, at the moment, they are now working in the informal economy where the term well-being itself may have never been heard of. So having said that, here's a posing question. Let's say, also given the evidence that the happier workers are more productive, then why there are so many workers are so unhappy at the moment? And how come has the overall progress been rather slow? On the contrary, we keep hearing about the workers who are not very happy, not motivated, and overwhelmed and stressed all the time. Of course, there are millions of reasons for that. Let's mention a few main things here, which I think are very, very important for discussion today. First one is the very obvious one. There are very strong perception that any job is better than no job, right? I already mentioned the large share of the job gaps already. Related to that, there are certainly economic constraints. Jobs are not sufficiently productive to enhance the workers' well-being as we wish. We know that. I already mentioned the issue relating to the informal employment. They are true, but this doesn't excuse us from making efforts to improve job quality and well-being. Experience, in my view, is very, very clear. If you don't make a systematic effort to make good policies and investment, your labor market would be trapped into low road track with the poor job quality and low productivity. Surely, job quality will improve as your economy grows yes, but the speed and the magnitude of such improvement will be slow and even disappointing unless accompanied by effective policies and investment. Part of the reason is that it takes so much time and effort to realize the virtuous circle we all hope to make it happen between well-being and productivity. Typically, this is the mid-term and long-term things. But as we know very well, the time horizon for business oftentimes very short, especially when the market competition is very, very intense and severe. So this points to the importance of the collective action and coordination in ways of the reinforcing the virtuous circle between the well-being and productivities while discouraging short-term temptation and moving beyond immediate labor cost advantages. These are exactly the roles, in my view, for public policies and laws. So let me be very clear here. The role of the policies and laws needs to be preventive, of course, in the sense that ill-intended behavior should be discouraged and prevented. But at the same time, these policies should be supportive in the sense that technical and financial incentives should be provided to nurture good and positive behaviors. This is why I keep emphasizing investment all the way through, along with the policies. Then what kind of policy investment I'm talking about here? Obvious one is wages and labor income, which are key elements of the workers' well-being, and also source of the productive motivation, as economists often characterize it as the efficiency wages. So minimum wage, for instance, actually intends to create the wage floor, and in doing so, securing minimum living standards for workers and their families. And beyond that, as we know, the wage negotiation is encouraged to set the wages for more productive jobs. At the end of the day, let me emphasize this, these policies would ensure that the wages grow in line with the labor productivities. And once again, in doing so, creating virtuous circle between the wages and productivities. But unfortunately, last 3 decades, our track record in that respect has not been very encouraging, as we haven't seen labor income share falling in many parts of the world. Then comes working hour issues, which include hours of work and a variety of leave, including maternity and paternity leave. We know that from the evidence, long working hours are not necessarily productive. I don't need to explain to you. But let me mention a couple of 2 important things. The first one is telework and remote work. COVID-19 did a really bad job for the human beings. But one thing the COVID-19 did good is relating to our growing interest in teleworking and remote work. They were once considered as abnormal, but now they are becoming an integrated part of the normal working arrangement. This is certainly welcomed by workers, including myself, and also enhance the well-being as well. But the question is, what about enterprises and what about productivities? It is a bit premature to come up with a definite answer, but many studies already indicated very positive productive impacts of the remote work teleworking. But at the same time, there are some other studies which are rather pessimistic. Overall, I think the evidence so far shows the productivity effects, it's important, depend very much on how telework and remote work are designed. So the outcomes are very sensitive to how to design it. Another important element in working time is certainly short working hours, like a 4 days work week. As you know, debates are very, very lively and also intense. My sense that the 4-day work week is indeed feasible, as demonstrated by many, many company experiments. But it is also very clear that productivity concerns can be addressed only if 4-day work is designed in ways of motivating workers and attracting talented workers. So in both cases, remote teleworking and the shorter working hours, perhaps how doesn't matter more than if or whether. So let me move on to another aspect of the determining workers' well-being, which is skills and the training, which was discussed quite extensively in the previous session. Absolutely crucial, yes, because job transition in the context of new technology and climate change are broader and more frequent, and arguably perhaps a defining feature of today's labor market. In short, one-time training, as we have done before, is not sufficient. What is needed is to continue to do upskilling and reskilling over the course of the working lives. In other words, lifelong learning. I know everyone in this room would happily agree on the importance of the lifelong learning, but the problem is that it's very easy to say, but it's extremely difficult to deliver. Lifelong learning requires, for example, much broader and stronger coordination among the government. For instance, by bringing together Ministry of Labor, Education, Trade, Industry, and Finance. I don't know in UAE, if probably you're doing better than in other governments, it's a tough job. And also we need strong collaboration with the workers and employers. And equally importantly, lifelong learning needs money and time. And who will pay? And how workers will secure time for the learning are the main questions to which many countries are still, I have to say, struggling to find the answer. There is no magic bullet yet, but we have some good examples, actually promising examples, I must say, from for example, Singapore, which provides effective financial incentive to companies while offering time for workers to participate in training activities while keeping their jobs. I have so far focused on the situation where we have a job. What if we have a lost job, which means considerable reduction in well-being? Of course, we're offering them the training opportunities and employment services that are very important, but first thing first, we need to provide income to them for their living. That's the first thing first. That's why unemployment insurance is all very important. I think the UAE and other Gulf countries are doing lots of things in that respect. We heard lots of examples already. As you can imagine, I mean, as we have heard, the need for the unemployment insurance is great, but in reality, globally speaking, at the moment, less than 20% of employed people are covered by unemployment insurance. So in my view, one of the greatest ways of improving workers' well-being, globally speaking, would be extend unemployment insurance. Especially those people who are precarious and vulnerable situation, including women and youth and the migrant workers. And eventually, we get together moving towards universal social protection. Of course, we have to make sure here unemployment benefit offers a minimum living standard, but at the same time, without threatening the overall financial sustainability of the system. So, unemployment insurance is always the matter of the balancing act. At the same time, of course, we have to make efforts to help workers under unemployment insurance to find the job opportunity, which should be the ultimate goal of the social protection system as well. All of these issues are very, very important in the context of the rapid technological changes which create new forms of work, such as platform workers. So let me comment a little bit on technology issues here. Now it is all about artificial intelligence, I know, but in our experience, all the new technology, including, probably you may remember, computer in the 1980s, it could be potentially very disruptive, and each situation is, of course, different. There is no easy generalization. But what we have seen in recent years, that the new technology has not affected aggregate job numbers, because some jobs are destroyed and at the same time some new jobs are created. But what we can say for sure is that the new technology change the way the jobs are distributed. So it's a matter of the job allocation, often exacerbating labor market inequality. This has much to do with the fact that the productivity gain of the new technology has not been shared broadly, and rather, I must say, concentrated on few privileged groups. That's the challenge we have. I personally expect a similar the situation about artificial intelligence, so perhaps we'll have a better idea about the impact of the AI in the coming 2 or 3 years. So it's very uncertain, but I think we need two things for sure and right now. Number one is we should update labor protection system to keep with the new reality of the labor market. Once again, I must say the historical record is very clear here. Countries who actually successfully adapted their protection system for workers' well-being and also enterprise resilience have shown much better labor market outcome with stronger the economy. This is why ILO is currently discussing the possibility of the new standard on the platform economy. Second is we have to use new technologies in improving labor market institution and program. Public employment service is one example, and informality, lots of the good experiments actually going on at the moment in countries. So because of the time, let me wrap up here very quickly. My key point is that the investing in people, investing in workers' well-being can pay off in both economic and social terms. So it's a good investment. But to make this investment materialize, we need a strong and effective policies which always need to be adapted to the ever-changing reality. It also requires mutual learning and conversation about the better solutions, which is why we all get together here at the World Governance Summit. Thank you so much.